Hi, my name is Jason Bailey. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Eastside Games Group. We're a mobile games company. We build games, we put them on your phone, we rot your kids' brains. That's our claim to fame. You know, when they're in the basement playing Fortnite, we're the game that they play in between battles of Fortnite as they, pull their phone out of their pocket. Most of our games are what called idle games. They're games that play themselves. So while you're lobbying up and waiting for your buddies who are to get killed because you got killed first, that's usually me, the guy who got killed first, you clean it up. And so our biggest claim to fame and what makes us different than most of the other app developers in the store is we work with big IP partners. So The Office, the NBC television show, Power Rangers, Star Trek, RuPaul's drag race, and making little games where you build up your drag queen, get your drag queen all dressed up. You should see my drag queen. She's a hit. If you haven't played these games, I strongly recommend it. You might think, oh, I don't know, what do I need a drag queen for? Trust me, you need one. It's good times. So people often ask, how did you get a deal like The Office? That must have been a big deal. Like the Office is huge IP, and it's one of those IPs with a rabid fan base that don't just, you don't watch The Office, you're watching The Office. People watch that show from the beginning to the end, and then they go back to the beginning and watch it all the way through again. People who've watched that show have seen them 3, 4, 5 times every episode. It's a rabid cult-like fan base, and that's the fan bases that we generally go for. And getting that IP together wasn't a matter of like, hey, that must have been a very competitive process, but it actually wasn't a competitive process at all. It was an impossible process where we have to go to Greg Daniels, the creator of the show, convince him that we're gonna take care of his baby, make the best game that you ever saw, and make a game that really hits on the core promise that is The Office. That if I asked you, hey, do you want to play a game where you get to work at a mid-sized paper company in Scranton, Pennsylvania, you'd be like, no, thanks, I think I'm good. But if I tell you you're going to get to hang out with Kevin and Dwight and Jim and Pam, then it's like, all right, I'm going to play this game. And when I say, hey, do you want to win a stack of paper? You're going to be like, I'm good. I don't think I need that. But hey, do you want to win, the stapler Jello that Jim did to Dwight one day? Then people pay real money for that. So all of our games are free to play. I'm just going to blather on. I don't know that this really matters too much. All of our games are free to play. So you come into the store, you download them, and then you think, oh, this game is free. And then quickly we put you in places where we kind of put you up against a barrier of like, how do I get over this barrier? I can just wait a certain amount of time, or I can watch an ad, or I can just reach into my pocket, pull out a couple of bucks. And if I can get you to pull out a couple of bucks from your pocket, I can get you to pull out a couple of hundred. And with games like RuPaul's Drag Race, Superstar, where you manage your little group of drag queens, and then you have your own special drag queen with her outfits. People think, oh wow! If I was to ask the biggest spender in that game, they would say, oh wow, I've spent a lot of money on this game. I've probably spent $2,000-$3,000 playing this game, which sounds like an absurd amount of money. But I can tell you, there are people who have paid $100,000 playing this game. You would never go to Walmart and buy FIFA Soccer for $120,000, but through the free-to-play model, EA has been able to take that $60 game and have people who are paying $100,000 a year to play that game by, buying all of the special cards, buying all of the special players, completing all of the collections. It's absurd what they'll do. And anyways, this is our company. We did $80 million in the last 12 months with about $9 million in adjusted EBITDA. The most important number that I look at every day, all the time, is our ARPDAU and our DAU. ARPDAU is the average revenue per daily active user. So that's for every single person that plays our game. On average, they spend $1. And $1 isn't that much, but when you've got 217,000 players playing every day, that adds up. So, quick math there, we do $219,017 a day. We just launched 2 new titles, RuPaul's Drag Race Match and a game called Squishmallows Match. And if anybody here has young kids, you know Squishmallows. Squishmallows is the most popular toy in the world right now. Little stuffy pillow things. I don't get it. They're kind of the new Beanie Babies, but people go wild for them, and it's not just kids. It's especially women in their 20s and 30s collecting all of these stuffy pillows. And now we have a match game, which is the most popular puzzle format. So we just launched that game, which has dramatically increased the DAO number. The great thing is our long portfolio of games. A lot of game companies are reliant on one or two major titles to really fund all of their growth and are, if something were to happen to that one title, a company like Rockstar with Grand Theft Auto, 90% of their revenue is Grand Theft Auto. We have all of our revenue spread out across a lot of titles. One of the titles is we launched in 2016 called Trailer Park Boys Greasy Money. I hope we've got some Trailer Park Boys fans in the audience. Great IP, great bunch of guys. If you're wondering, yes, they are those people in real life. There's nothing different from the park to real life. But that game we launched almost 10 years ago. At its peak, it was making about $2.5 million a month. And now, almost 10 years later, it's still making about $600,000 to $800,000 a month. So once you get that game on base and into the store and successful, it has a massively long tail. So we have a whole slew of titles of these games that are going to continue to make money for years and years and years. I mean, Trailer Park Boys 2017, I think it was late 2016, but so this is what a game looks like. We start out with signing the IP, breaking the game. We spend money, 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 we spend money. The average game right now is about $2 to $3 million to build a high-profile, high IP game. And then we really start. We see a big dip as we start really spending money, investing in marketing growth. Launches here. And so, but what happens is, that cost comes down, and it continues making money over the next 10 years, long-term growth. So, it's a 3-year cycle to build a game, launch a game, invest money in the marketing and growth, and then reap the rewards for the next 10 years. And it might be longer than 10 years, because like I say, Trailer Park Boys is our only example of getting on to 10 years, but it's still doing strong and has many, 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 many more years left in it. So here's some of the titles that we're working with right now. We like rabid fan bases. One of the things we like, our test of should we do a game with this IP or not? What are we thinking about? A great example is Big Bang Theory. This is a very popular show. I'm sure most of you have seen it. It's a show about smart people for stupid people, as opposed to Trailer Park Boys, which is a show about stupid people for smart people. But the Trailer Park Boys, we like to do the tattoo test. When you ask somebody if they're a fan of Trailer Park Boys, they'll say, "Oh, hell yeah, look at this. I got bubbles on my arm." If you say, "Are you a fan of Big Bang Theory?" Nobody's got a tattoo of Sheldon. If people are getting tattoos of the IP, then that's a good thing. Same thing with Office, RuPaul. People love RuPaul. Star Trek, we know how strong that fandom is. Star Wars is another one. Star Wars, Harry Potter. These are two of the biggest IPs out there. We would love to work with those IPs, but you're looking at essentially $20 million minimum guarantees to go to those studios and say, if I want to build a game for Star Wars, I have the opportunity, but I need $20 million up front to do so. I don't have the cash. If some of you want to build a Star Wars game, I've always dreamed of building a Star Wars game, maybe you can help me get the cash. The industry has undergone some pretty major changes. The biggest change, well, it's not really a change, but as the evolved. So for every dollar we make, there's 30 cents that comes right off the top that goes to Google and Apple for their platform fees. Epic Games, maker of Fortnite, have been fighting these guys in the courts tooth and nail and winning and winning and winning and winning. This 30% fee is going to come down. In the early days, I felt fine paying that fee because there was, it's their platform. I would put a game onto their platform. I would get 1 million installs. They would process your credit card and processing credit cards, and we all know how hard it used to be to get to get money out of somebody's pocket through the internet. Now it's easy. We do it with our phone. We do it with our watch. We do it with our eyeballs. Getting money out of your pocket into my pocket via the internet is now a really simple process. Whereas it used to be the most magical, wonderful thing about Apple is that they knew your credit card number. But now everybody knows your credit card number. I know my kids know mine. So we're hoping that that's going to be the biggest step change in our profitability over the next year. Is Google, the rumor is that Google and Apple are going to drop their fees from 30% to 15%. If that happens, literally 15% of our revenue, our EBITDA goes up dramatically, our profits go up dramatically. It's going to happen. The question is it going to happen in 3 months from now or a year and a half from now? They're going to fight tooth and nail to the last possible minute, but it's coming. There's the tax credit environment to web performance. There's lots of things we can go in here. But this is what I'm talking about, like the difference we make and we're also just recently, we're now allowed to use third-party platforms. So we're integrating into all of our games now. We have it in 2 of our games now, where we can process our own payments and pay 5% instead of 30%. It's a small percentage of transactions right now, but we're working hard on growing that percentage of transactions. And this is what makes us different than a lot of other game developers, is we have what we call Game Kit. It's a proprietary software platform that allows us to build games better, faster, cheaper than all of our competitors, because we only make 2 different kinds of games. We're not out there innovating, the greatest new gameplay in some type of game that you've never played before that's going to blow your mind. I've never played a game like this. No. We play by the formula. We're making match 3 games. We're making idle games. These are known tropes and game mechanics. And so we built a core set of software, a core playbook, a core best practices, a core balance sheets, all of these things, not balance sheets in the finance sense, balance in the balance of the game and how it plays, that allow us to just take that formula and have a much better chance of success because we know what it's going to look like. These are some of the licensing partners we work with. I have relationships with every major Hollywood studio. I spent a lot of time in LA going back and forth, and I've spent a lot of time over the last 15 years building these relationships. And there isn't an IP that you can name that I can't pick up a phone or send an email and find out really quickly what that is. And because we've been able to build such an incredible reputation in the industry, we are usually first at the trough to get those opportunities and those IPs. There's a couple of other studios who are following the same model, the biggest one being Scopely, that just sold to the Saudis for $5 billion. They're a lot bigger than us and have been more successful with bigger titles over the years, but that's been a very successful sale for the Saudis, because as soon as they launched that game, that made that deal, Scopely launched a new game called Monopoly Go. If you're app players or game players on your phone, you've at least seen 1,000 ads for this game. And it's a great IP and it's a great game.